So we're catching up with Daedelic here at GDC to find out a little bit about some of the projects you're doing. Quite a lot of things going on at the moment. But let's start with what I suppose is closest to your heart, what you're working on right now. Goodbye, Deponia. What's it like, sort of, finally the story is coming to its conclusion. Can you tell us what's that like?
Yeah, it's very exciting for me because it's the first time we are trying to do a trilogy in a game, and yeah, there are lots of loose ends, of course, to knot together, and still yeah, bring the typical Deponia experience, and yeah, it was quite. Yeah, a hard thing to do to get all these components together. But I think we really found a brilliant way to end our story, and yeah, it's gonna be a crazy ride, yet another crazy ride. But it's of course the most epic part of the trilogy. Finally, we will yeah, get to know if Rufus can leave his planet, and if he is able to yeah, get together with Goal, his love interest in the game, and yeah, it's gonna be really some crazy ride for all of the fans of the first two parts.
So you mentioned something that I found was very interesting, that this game would allow you to do a motif or a thing that you haven't seen in games before, something that you felt that really would translate well into a game.
Yeah, I always thought that that games in the state they are now, they just yeah, have they just use a very small variety of possible dramaturgic motives. So I always wanted to explore different things to make them playable, not before and after the gameplay takes place, but via the gameplay during you play the game. And yeah, one of them is the mistaken identity comedy. Like perhaps you know the Court Jester with Danny Kaye, a very old movie but a very brilliant one, or being in San Francisco now, What's Up Dog. Where there are different, but yeah, bags that look the same, and they've been being mixed up all the time. Yeah, and that's something I have written into the Deponia series from the very beginning, but I couldn't really yet fire this loaded gun. And now in the third part, yeah, finally we get to the point where yeah, I can dramaturgically where I can use this setup I have built up for two games now, like Rufus being a complete doppelganger to his rival Cletus. And yeah, you will become yeah, you will get lots of madness, and some of the motives you will recognize from movies, like we have, for example, a hotel floor with many doors, and you just have to imagine some Benny Hillish music under it, and you will know what's going on there. But there are other motives, like that Rufus is forced to do a speech in front of yeah, and nearly an army of organ troops, being the bad authority guys on Deponia, dressed as their general, and of course he's not able to do things. Or we have done lots of stuff like that in the game. At one point, even he dresses like a doctor and has to make an operation, and you know, when you know Rufus, you just know it's no good idea to give him a scalpel and somebody, because he thinks that he's able to yeah, to help that guy. Yeah, it will be a complete madness, and we are doing some things in the third part we haven't done yet, and I think it's even more yeah, a more cinematic experience, the third part as well. So there are still, of course, the open environments you can adventure-like encounter, and yeah, it's just
Because I think that's often a trap with a trilogy, that the third part is just like you want to bring everything together, so it sort of closes everything into one path, but you want to stay away from that.
yeah, it's was really a hard thing to do that in this part, because when I started it, in fact, in the very beginning, when I came up with the idea of Deponia, I already laid out the whole story, and I thought I was able to make it in one game, and I was so wrong about that. I had one idea and the next, and the next idea, and it led to another complex. And of course, I want to be very close to every single situation in the game, and to want to fill it with even more details. And so we were really forced to split it up, to not just let a good idea slip away somewhere at some point. So I had the dramaturgy for all three games, and when we finished the second part, which was quite in my opinion, it was the best game I've made so far. And of course, you always want to do the best game you have made so far with the next game as well. So, but now having Metacritic scores in Germany of nearly 90%, you just don't know what you can do better with the last part. And so I'm very glad that I came up with one thing that's really bringing the Deponia feeling back, with having open environments where you have very complex puzzle design and much to explore, but still having the feeling of getting towards the end and feeling the time pressure of it. And the only way to do that, it was quite it was such a huge problem. The only thing to do that, I thought, was I have to triple Rufus, and because it really rhymes with the game, because his problems in the game are as big as well, and they are adding up, and there's so much to do left to do. I let him split up, and so you will play half into the game. You will get to play 3 Rufus at a time, and so they will have to interact with each other, and it's woven into the story as well. So you will recognize that it makes totally sense with the story when you play it, and with facts that are also already laid out in the very first part. And now you finally have these 3 Rufuses, and if you know Rufus, you know that duplicating him is not making the problems half, but the other way around. It's duplicating the problems as well, because he's always a source of mischief, and so it will be really a chaotic thing, but it will lead to something that's I experienced for the first time in a game. It really has, and it's very classic for the third part of a trilogy, it really has this feeling of a multi-threaded ending, but you as the player are cutting it yourself, and you're switching through the 3 characters, interacting with each other, and the choices they make have, of course, have effects on the other 2 Rufuses. Of course, he always tries to help the others, but you more of the time you end up blocking their way or making their life even harder. But this cutting between them is really having the feel of a multi-threaded ending, like you have in the Star Wars trilogy, or in the Lord of the Rings, or in the Matrix, even if that wasn't not such a good third part, in my opinion. But I think you need that for a trilogy in some way, and it's really working out, and it's so exciting for me to getting to do that.
So now we've spoken about Deponia, another game from Daedelic that's coming out that perhaps you haven't been as involved in, but still involved in, because obviously it's Daedelic. The Night of the Rabbit. Can you tell us a little bit how it came to be that you picked this one up?
The Night of the Rabbit has quite another tone than the Deponia trilogy. It's really a game about magic, and it's magical itself. This is the third game already of Matthias Kemke, who has already made himself a name doing the What Makes You Tick games, What Makes You Tick and What Makes You Tick a Stitch in Time, and they are known to the independent adventure community guys as being very, very brilliantly conceived games, and very beautiful as well, because he's not only a talented writer, but also quite a talented artist as well. So we knew about his former projects, and we knew we just wanted to have him in the company, and so we hired him and let him do yet another of his games, and he came up with The Night of the Rabbit, which is like I said, a quite magical experience. Matt himself told me that he was always intrigued of the idea, what if the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland had a plan for Alice when he lured her into the Wonderland. So that thought is quite of the inspirational source of The Night of the Rabbit. So it's a mix up in a way between Alice in Wonderland on the one hand and Doctor Who on the other hand. The rabbit in the title being the Marquis de Hoteau, which is quite this Doctor Who-ish character, who teaches the protagonist of our game, the young Jerry Hazelnut, who's dreaming of becoming a magician, the ways of the tree runners, which is a certain kind of magic where you can use portals in old trees to switch between different spaces, times, and even possibilities, like the Marquis de Hoteau is always pronouncing it, and he's quite a talkative guy.
So I had a chance to take a look at the game. It seems like a very sort of complex and rich world that's in there. It's so much to interact with, so much things to do.
Yeah, rich is the right term, I guess, because there's a topic of the game from the very beginning of getting lost, and playing the game you will really get lost as a player. It was a case when I played the game for the first time, when I was able to play their first build that was playable throughout the whole game. So apart from the main story, which is magical all by itself, you get to do lots of things. One thing, if you're familiar with Matt's former games, is that he chooses to make a very open environment from the very beginning of the game, so you can explore lots of spaces at your own pace, and you can really, you really can already get lost in the world by just sheer, how you say, stretch the number of the screens you can visit, and the locations. So but that's just the beginning, because there are some game mechanics that don't even have anything to do with the main plot and the main story, where you collect, for example, some cards in the game and play with the inhabitants of Mousewood, being like the center part of the game, the reality just next to Jerry's home in a way, but a little bit away from this space-time possibility-wise coordinates. Which is quite like entering a children's book. It's a very nice and peaceful place, and very adorable characters are throwing around. But Jerry has to, of course, in his approach to become a wizard himself, he has to learn different spells, and so he has to cross yet other portals, 3 portals, to go to different worlds. And every time he comes back to Mousewood, which is quite like the hub, the linkage between these realities, something dark seemed to have crept into the world, and one after one, the inhabitants of Mousewood fall under some kind of evil spell, and mood is changing. So there's some turning points in the story you will witness when you play it. And like I said, and one of them is that not only you as a player get lost in all the possibilities. Like I already told about card games, but there are lots of other stuff that you can do. Like for example, you can unlock audiobooks that give backstories for the characters of Mousewood, or you can even collect dewdrops to get some special content, or half in the game you get the ability to switch during day and night, and so you can the world grows even more complex because things you do at day have consequences at night, and so on and so on. And of course, learn the new spells, which give you more abilities as well. And so there's so much to experience. It become richer and richer by the minute, the game. And not only you will lose yourself in this world, but maybe Jerry will as well. So you have to find out yourself.
Yeah, so we've talked about 2 adventure games. Can you just give us your thoughts on the state of adventure games? Because it's really resurging right now. It's coming back to the forefront. And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. Maybe you can already feel it, but I'm very excited about the current state, because we in Germany, we have in fact managed to bring it back. It's a thing there again, and it's not that only the old nostalgic guys like us are playing it, who love the old games in the golden era of the genre. That was the state when we started making games, and we wanted to bring it back, because I really was very sad when suddenly all the developers finished to make those games. As a writer, I always thought, no, they just opened up all the first door to all the possibilities, but they just took one step inside this whole new world, and there's so much new land, so much claims you can stack. You stack claims, right? Yeah. I'm not sure, but and so much like I already laid out with this mistaken identity motive. There are so many kinds of stories you never told with this mechanics, and the mechanics are just like the first time somebody edited a movie, like the early Orson Welles movies, or like Eisenstein, or they just made the language for film. And I thought, now the language for narrative games have been made, and now you can tell different stories and even explore more possibilities to tell stories in this media. But they didn't. They just finished. And so I wanted to bring that back, and now it's already working in Germany. The young guys are playing our games, so it's really cool again there, and I really want this spark to get to other territories. But I think it's coming back by itself here in America already. Seeing that Tim Schafer has what he has done with his Kickstarter project, he has motivated so many people to back his project, or what Telltale, for example, is doing. Making new steps in the territory of adventure gaming with the Walking Dead series, which is really brilliant. And there are still few examples of developers who choose to tell the story really via the gameplay. Telltale is one example. Another is Quantic Dreams, who have made Heavy Rain, which was again a very brilliant way to tell different kinds of stories inside the game. They achieved to make quiet parts playable, so it's a really big achievement. I really love the game for that. So there is still lots of things to do, and I think it's growing popular because I think that video games have the possibility of becoming the next narrative medium, and I hope that this will happen. You have to tell the story via the gameplay for that. So let's do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I also feel like the rise of tablets has sort of also been able to sort of bring back the genre, because it opens it up to and it's such easy to use, and perhaps the genre really fits on the tablet as well.
Yeah, it's a good point you have there. I think one reason why adventure games are more popular in Germany and have been around the last years than they're in the US is that there's still a very strong PC market in Germany. So it's more fitting to play an adventure game by pointing and clicking than it is to play it on the console. But now we have tablets and we have a point and click interface. We don't even have to point, we just have to click. So it's even more comfortable in a way. And yeah, I think that's helping us very much to get the genre back into play. And we already brought our first game, Ed and Harvey the Breakout, to the iPad, and it's working great, and it's looking great, and it's something you want to do when you have, it's as comfortable as reading a book, and I think that's fitting with the genre very much. Yeah.
So for the boring stuff, when's the final chapter of Deponia coming out, and the Night of the Rabbit?
Okay, the Night of the Rabbit is now near to completion, and it's coming to Steam on in the end of May. I think it's the 29th. Yeah, it's the 29th. And the final part of Deponia is still some month away, and it will be somewhere October-ish. I'm not sure. It's around October.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.